And check out the RCWR show with Lee Sanders. Get fun, in-depth coverage and analysis from the latest in professional wrestling in AEW, WWE, NWA, Impact Wrestling, or the world of entertainment. From hit TV shows to your favorite sports like the NBA or NFL. All things music, movies, and beyond, while trying to make sense of this crazy world we live in. All while keeping it honest, insightful, and interactive since 2011. And now your host, live from the nation's capital of Washington, D.C., Lee Sanders.
Hey, what's going on, friends? Lee Sanders back with you guys for this Monday night of December 29th, 2025. It's the RCWR show. Oh, man, it's the final post show for 2025, covering that good old WWE Raw Fallout and then some. Hope you guys had a fantastic weekend, a Christmas weekend at that. I know a lot of you guys are on a little bit of an extended holiday break right now. Hopefully you got to where you needed to go safely and you are enjoying that quality time with the loved ones so far. Hopefully you have not worn out your welcome. You know how it is sometimes with some families. Okay, after about 3 days, you about ready to move on, and hey, gotta get back on the road. But no, seriously, I hope you guys have had a fantastic little break so far. Hey, man, my Christmas going into the weekend pretty good. Kept it low key. Friends and family came on over. Cooked a really nice meal. Watched some really good games that was on that day, that Christmas day. Enjoyed the Christmas movies as well. I did a little bit of everything when it came to the Christmas movies. I watched It's a Wonderful Life. I also watched A Christmas Story a couple of times. I even watched some of the holiday Christmas movies that was on not the regular BET channel, but I'm trying to think. Maybe it was BET Her. I don't know, or BET Plus or something like that. There was some weird movie that I watched that had, for those of you that remember the hit TV series back in the day on Fox, Living Single. Remember the guy named Cal? Apparently he was in this movie where he played a former soldier that was dealing with PTSD, and he was living in a van that was parked, I guess, in front of his home in a driveway or whatever. And there were some neighbors that were trying to do their best to look after him and trying to clean him up and all that. And I guess there was maybe a woman he was interested in dating. It's a weird movie. I think it was called The Wesleys or something like that. I know now that I've put that out there, a lot of you guys are going to be like, oh yeah, Lee, I know exactly the movie you're talking about. I know one of the stars of the movie, he used to be on Sister Sister and a couple of other black TV shows back in the day. So yeah, also made sure I watched my Friday movies. I had to get my Fridays on and everything. But got some really cool, awesome gifts, some nice reading materials. I got to tell you though, wifey surprised me like a mofo minutes before I came on the air. She goes, I got you something really, really cool. I just wish it would have got to you come Christmas. I go, it's all good. But now that I see what she ended up getting me, I'm going, oh, I wish that it would have been part of Christmas and everything. I'll show those off later on. Actually, both items are actually sports entertainment related. One of them is actually both items, now that I think about it. They are WWE related. So, little tease right there. We'll show it off for you guys later on during the show. Picked a good night to tune in. We're going to talk about this final edition of Monday Night Raw. Also, look into the year in review for WWE. Look at the good, the bad, maybe the indifferent, the what the fuck, and all in between. So, again, picked a good night to tune in. Sound off. Let me know what you thought about tonight's WWE Raw. Got a poll up on Twitter at the RCWR Show. Keeping it simple. Thumbs up, thumbs down, staying in the middle. Plain and simple, right? Of course, congratulations are in order for Jey and Jimmy Uso. They are our new tag team champions, closing out 2025. I gotta say to you guys, not quite what I was expecting. I gotta admit to you guys. And look, I don't mind it when I'm wrong. I really don't. But just looking at the breadcrumbs that WWE has been giving us these past several months, where Jey Uso has really been beating himself up, there is that self doubt that's coming into play. You know, he's had a taste of the World Heavyweight Championship. He's been to the mountaintop, and before the man could really thrive and enjoy it, he just got knocked off of that hill. And we've seen the story of him trying to get back to the top of that mountain, and yet every single corner he gets denied. He comes up so short. And so you're seeing all of this, what I thought was great storytelling by WWE, and showing Jey Uso rattle internally. You know, it's the struggle within that he's having with himself, as he's questioning whether or not he has what it takes to cut it at this stage of the game, and wondering whether or not he truly has some type of placement in the main event scene, and everything. And all along this journey, his brother Jimmy has been reminding him who he is, and all that, but still the self-doubt just continues to eat away at Jey Uso. That I gotta admit to you guys, tonight I was expecting for Jey to ultimately go rogue, lose in this tag team effort against AJ Styles and Dragon Lee, and turn on his brother. I thought that tonight's Raw was going to end with, maybe not a shocker for me and for other people that were kind of expecting it, just kind of looking at the weeks and months of storytelling that they were doing there with Jey Uso. But definitely, I was under the impression things were going to end on a, oh, no, he didn't. Not his own brother. No. I thought we were going to be ending to a chorus of boos. Talk about a serious cliffhanger for the final Raw of 2025, essentially setting up the 1 year anniversary and great strong stride. But no, you know, and I even thought maybe we were going to get a little bit of interference to a certain degree in this tag match. We didn't even get that. It was just straight up and the damn good tag match between all four men to close out this edition of Monday Night Raw. I did put a poll out asking you guys, what do you think? Do you think it's even possible that Jey Uso might be turning on his brother here tonight? And I gave you guys, I think, two options. Yeah, I'm looking at the options now. I said Jey Uso turning tonight after they lose that match for the tag titles. What say y'all? And at the time that we are live right now, I'm seeing 50%, 50%. It's split. Half of you said no, not yet, Lee. The other half of you said, oh yeah, Lee, let's dial it in. Calling it now. Like, so very interesting how things kind of, now for those that had said, no, not yet, Lee. I mean, okay, so we don't do it right now, but you would admit that there's definitely been some type of seeds that's been planted. Now the question becomes, so if this move were to go down with Jey turning on his brother, then what is at this point when you're thinking about the timeline, what's more likely to happen? Like if you weren't gonna do it right here, then when is that next opportunity maybe gonna happen? Now, look, not for nothing, but I have been saying, for those of you that may not be aware, I have said for the longest time that, okay, well, uh, let it be a situation where the closer Naomi gets to really having that nice belly bump and she's almost due, maybe that's when you can have Jay turn on Jimmy, beat the holy bejeebus out of him, take him out for a little bit. Jimmy returns just in time to maybe extract revenge by WrestleMania. And the brothers are pretty much fighting, right? You could do it that way, but it really just depends on Naomi. When is she due? And that's something that I have not. If she touched upon it during the interview with Stephanie McMahon, I would have to rely on you guys to remind me, but because for the love of me, I cannot remember right now when she's due. At least a month. I can't remember what month she's due, but I'm wondering if it might kind of be around that WrestleMania season time. And then, of course, we have to address some of the chatter that was out there in wrestling land and everything amongst us in the community, or the fans and everything, which is, so what's going on with Jey Uso? Is Jey Uso essentially being buried? Is Triple H Paul Levesque and crew, are they going in a different direction? Because it just kind of seemed like everything was just all in. Like there was just such great investment in Jey Uso, and yet what's going on here? And it's been interesting seeing different people react a certain way. I know one of my colleagues in James Romero and then a few others, they've been talking about how uh, Jey Uso's being buried, and that's so strong of a word, buried, and then also besides buried, Jey Uso, is he overexposed? And I mean, look, when it's all said and done, for the people that's going now saying Jey Uso's overexposed, I mean, I hate to burst that bubble, but we were here months and months before it became a cool thumbnail and title to work with for a video. We were already saying that, Jey Uso, they're putting too much out there of this guy, and if WWE is not careful, they're going to be overplaying their hand like a mofo. And they did that in more ways and one with Jey Uso, because strip away, and I said this word for word months back, which is strip away the entrance theme, strip away the one word yeet, strip away the cool shades. Okay, as far as in the ring goes, pretty solid wrestler, but beyond that, what else do you really have? Like, just put all that to the side. And unfortunately, with Jey Uso, you don't really have that much as far as the gift of the gab, right? And I admitted that WWE had an interesting project on their hands with Jey Uso, but I also rallied behind Jey Uso as that guy that WWE should definitely get behind and fully support. I touched upon the fact that WWE is now at this interesting cross section of really trying to rub elbows with those that are professional athletes, which includes basketball players, football players, boxers, the UFC, MMA, and all that. And then I also touched upon the fact that now more than ever, WWE loves dipping into the entertainment world. They love those cross collaborations, and Lord knows every single time you're tuning on an episode of WWE program, it's always brought to you in part by some interesting sponsor, right? DoorDash and Prime and Real American Beer and Slim Jim and Wheatley Vodka and Mike's 80/20 beer, whatever the hell they're calling that joint now, blueberry booze, whatever. I mean, it just goes on and on and on and on and on. And so I found it interesting that with everything that's going on, yeah, why not lean into a Jey Uso as a world heavyweight champion? Why not lean into a Jey Uso that can go do uh you know, 96.3 WHUR, or why not have Jey Uso go do the Breakfast Club morning show, right? Why not have him go and do, right? Do a red carpet for, or yeah, why not try to maybe send Jey Uso over to the VMAs, or right? Insert. I just can't take a step back and look at how WWE has handled the Jey Uso situation and just really ask myself, well, internally, what's really going on here with Jey Uso? Is this a case where he didn't quite pass all the tests that he was being given, and WWE decided they wanted to go in a different direction? Like what's really at play here? Or is it just a case where no, we gave him a test run, but we're trying to go in a more different direction. We're trying to go with something that's more current, that's more buzzworthy, that is more marketable. What you have to ask these questions and trying to figure out exactly you know, why, when it seemed like at the pinnacle of Jey Uso's run as a world heavyweight champion and it ended, why WWE powers that be didn't decide to continue it a little bit longer. The question becomes, should they have continued it a little bit longer? Kind of creates a very interesting discussion, doesn't it? I think it does. It's nice to speculate. So as long as we let it be known that we're just speculating, but at least here on this night, feels like an old coat that you're putting on that you haven't worn in so many years. Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso, back as tag team champions. I gotta say, seeing them as tag team champions again to close out the show tonight, it put a big old smile on my face. It reminded me of one of the first times that I remember seeing the Usos on main WWE programming, and just having flashbacks to all the great tag matches that we've seen of those guys over the years and everything. And so I don't have a problem personally with these guys being tag champions right now, apparently for a ninth time in their career. Nine-time WWE tag team champions. So as long as we are still gonna somehow eventually, because I personally, I'm sticking to my guts here. I feel that WWE at this point is taking the scenic route with Jey Uso turning on his brother. It's definitely going to happen. Now it's just a matter of, is it going to happen on the road to WrestleMania 2026? Or and time will tell. Because honestly, let's be real. If by the time we get to WrestleMania in April and Jay has not turned on his brother, then that's definitely a whole different discussion altogether that we need to be having, which is at that point, okay, so is it going to happen, or does it just feel like, because you can tell when it feels as though WWE is taking a scenic route for a storyline, and when it just feels like, nah, whatever they were thinking, they've abandoned it. And we'll talk about this in our year-end review, but WWE this calendar year has been very, very notorious for what it seems to be, hey, this is a really good little story arc, good little momentum boost that they're doing for this particular wrestler. Hey, this is great. And then things go ice cold for just no damn apparent reason. Seems like a feud was building and then just it stops. We'll talk more about that later. But great tag match between all four men there in that main event match. Really was expecting a different outcome. Once again, I was totally expecting a different outcome than what we got tonight. But you know what? I will take it. I will take it for what it's worth, but I've always been a firm believer in create some shock and awe. That's what I have always been about, especially when you're doing your final show of the calendar year. I've always been a firm believer in, send the people home talking, getting them buzzed, and all of that. Um, I gotta say, as much as I spent all that time talking about the Usos. Let's talk about AJ Styles and Dragon Lee for a little bit. Just a hot minute. As much as I enjoyed them as defending tag champions, um, I mean, and we got to be honest with ourselves as fans. You just knew it was going to come to an end sooner rather than later. I mean, for God's sake, we have been conditioned by WWE that 2026 is going to be AJ Styles' final run, basically as a wrestler and all that. So, if you're trying to position AJ Styles, on that solo retirement path and all that, then who better for AJ Styles and Dragon Lee to drop the tag titles to than the Usos, especially so that ultimately you can have AJ Styles get back to doing what he does best, and that's having some of the best singles matches there is in wrestling, especially if everything is going to somehow involve AJ Styles coming back full circle there with Gunther. Remember, they've been dancing around each other the past couple of weeks, and I truly believe WWE is not just doing that because it's cool. WWE is essentially planting some seeds in there for us as far as a taste of things to come, right? So, some wishful thinking on that. Speaking of positive stuff, great seeing the return of Penta. Remember, he'd been gone with a shoulder injury from one of the last shows. My God, what's it been now? Seems like it's been maybe about 3 months since we maybe last saw Penta in the ring and everything. He actually came to the aid of Rey Mysterio, who was involved in a match against Austin Theory. Austin Theory's in-ring gear changed yet again. So it's interesting because remember last week we were showing, and as a matter of fact, I can actually pull up the image right now. Last week I had showed you guys all the different versions of outfits that Austin Theory has worn through the years. There we go. There we go. I got it generated. There we go. So as you can see, and I apologize to our audio only listeners, but if you're interested, just go look up the webcast stream via YouTube at the 24-minute mark, and you'll be able to see what I'm showing to our webcast audience right now. But if you look at the image number 6 there, lower right-hand corner, that's what Austin Theory debuted last week in that tag match that he had on Raw. And remember, I was right here on the show, and I said to you guys, it's kind of giving off Seth Rollins vibes, right? Seth Rollins is giving off those kind of vibes. And this week, we see that Austin Theory has gone back to the trunks. It doesn't appear that there's any logos or anything like that. If there is, you got to look real hard because what it looked like tonight was just all black. But I would not be surprised if there was some type of a logo in the usual areas, kind of similar to what he, as you can see on the screen, kind of similar to what he was pushing on the previous. So you see the previous two before you look at that Seth Rollins joint. Look at the two images there on the bottom next to the Seth Rollins little pants leg joint. So I think he's kind of got that logo going on there. Also, he got new theme music. I gotta say, I'm not a fan of the theme. Yeah, it's funny because we were here last week and we were talking about Bruce Pritchard, and Bruce Pritchard's choice words there for longtime in-house uh, musician Jim Johnson and the great soundtracks that he's made for plenty of WWE wrestlers over the years. I mean, really, he's provided the soundtrack for many of our childhoods there, man. Um, I hear Austin Theory's new theme, and I'm going, this just sounds so goddamn generic. I like, I don't know who's coming out to this. And say what you will, Bruce Pritchard, about the work of Jim Johnston, but at least when it comes to Jim's work, a certain theme that I hear, I automatically go, that's Vader. That's I mean, I just need to hear like the first 5 seconds of that bar, that hook, and I can tell you exactly who it is that's getting ready to come out and all that. It's that iconic. It's synonymous and all that, right? It's just, and sadly, with what we got currently going on, with the themes for these wrestlers today, you can just close your eyes and it just sounds like one goddamn endless track. It really, really does. That's not good. That's not good. But decent little match there between Austin Theory and Rey Mysterio. A little bit that we saw, it was a very short match. Sadly, Ray was getting ready to go for the 619. Logan Paul immediately sweeped at Ray's legs. Referee sees this clear as day, calls for the bell. So essentially, Mysterio wins via disqualification. From there, Logan, Theory, they're trying to get a beat down on there on Ray. And then that's when Penta comes out, makes a great save. And I can't believe I got my wish because I remember. Isn't it crazy too when you think about this? I mean, we'll talk about this much more later on during the show, but when you just do the year-end review as far as 2025 goes, you just think about the fact that we saw John Cena and Goldberg retire, but we saw the return of Brock Lesnar, but then we were also treated to the debut of Penta, who just took the WWE community by storm and everything. Like we knew, those of us that appreciate all things wrestling, and those of us that don't mind saying, hey, yes, we watch AEW and we watch WWE and we watch these other promotions over here. We're universal fans. We love all things wrestling. We knew that Penta was going to be good. He was going to be all right in the WWE system, but many of us didn't quite think it was going to be to the level that it became. He really became an overnight sensation. Just amazing. It really, really is one of the best highlights of 2025. Again, year-end review. We'll talk about that later on. But I know for the longest time, even though I didn't talk about it enough here on the show, I did mention it a couple of times of, be pretty badass to see Penta and Ray maybe do a little something. I even toyed with the idea of maybe one year you could do something where maybe when it comes to the Royal Rumble, you could have a whole bunch of maxed individuals. Maybe you can kind of create some type of, oh, we're zooming in, hang on guys, maybe we could do some type of a new record of maxed individuals in a Royal Rumble, or something. And I was just thinking about how we got Ray and we've got Dragon Lee, and we've got Dragon Lee, and you got Octagon, you got La Parca. The list just Penta. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on and on and on. And then maybe you can dust off some retro guys such as Hurricane, Shane Helms, and yeah, I would love to see Hurricane Shane Helms. Like, I mean, WWE, come on now. I think we're on to something there, and it's interesting because when you just think about all the maxed individuals we've seen through the years, if there's a record to be had and crushed, like I think that'd be kind of a fun little nostalgia thing if it's done right. If it's done right, you know what I'm saying? I think that would be very, very interesting to kind of do and everything. But that's the talk of the Royal Rumble. That's the talk of it. I'm not going to talk more about the Royal Rumble honestly until we get to, I think next week's show is where we want to do it, because I think on that show we're going to go over 2026 predictions for wrestling, and it's not just going to focus on WWE. We're going to just look at all the promotions and go from there. I don't want to get too sidetracked, but I'm excited just thinking about all these maxed people that's running around right now, and like who you could eventually bring back to create a really cool, moment and everything, right? Because as I've said here the past couple of years, definitely with this past year's Royal Rumble, no surprises, no, like if I were to quiz you guys right now and go, name me five cool things that happened from the Royal Rumble 2025, you might be able to give me one. Hell, you might be able to give me two, but you're not going to be able to give me five. Not unless you have a really good photographic memory like that. And it was something that meant something special to you specifically. See, it's one thing when we talk about, okay, well, specifically for you, it's another when we go universally, collectively, what are all the fans, what do they remember from insert. So that's that. Also, I gotta show the women some love for tonight's Raw. The women really, really stepped it up big time tonight on WWE Raw, because shout out to Raquel Rodriguez, Nikki Bella, even, and Stephanie Vaquer. We had a triple threat match there for the women's championship. And that match went at least about 20 minutes, maybe a little bit more than that. I'm going back to look at my notes here because I was just jotting down some random things that just kind of came to mind when I was thinking about it. And yeah, I know that some of the I know that some of the commercials kind of, because we must have had at least about three commercial breaks, give or take. But that match went at least 20 minutes, and I enjoyed every freaking minute of it. Good shit. Whoever was in charge of booking that match, I got to give you nothing but high praise, because I love the way that this was booked. I particularly love the finish. A lot of people were, including myself, very worried there about Stephanie the Care. We're going, Lord have mercy. No, please do not let 2025 end with Nikki Bella getting the championship. Let it stay with the Care a little bit longer here, right? I mean, she's just really taking us fans by storm. I mean, she's hitting all the demographics, right? The men, we love us some Stephanie Vaquer. Lord knows I love me some Stephanie Vaquer. When she does the devil's kiss, I'm like Booker T. Oh yeah, man. Shucky ducky quack quack. I love it. I just love it. Imagine my delight as sometimes my wife is just sitting next to me and she's like, "You okay?" I'm like, "Yeah. I'm good. I'm good." But no, man. Seriously, I love this triple threat match between all three of these girls. The finish, particularly, I enjoyed because this was one of those matches where I said to myself, okay, if Stephanie is going to somehow retain, how are they going to do this? Is it going to be a case where maybe she retains it by a little bit of luck? Just a little bit of luck on her side? Is that maybe how they're going to do this? And sure enough, that's exactly how they did it. Final moments of this match, we had Raquel Rodriguez. She was in the corner. She had picked up Stephanie, and then she had a really nice, good hold with the other hand on Nikki, and it looked like she was trying to do a double Tiana bomb, and Stephanie somehow managed to wiggle out of Raquel's left hand, and rather than Raquel try to worry about where Stephanie went, Raquel just goes, "Okay, I'm just gonna give you a power bomb to Nikki." She's like, "Okay, let me just worry about this power bomb." If I had to be a stickler for detail, I like the way it finished. I really, really do like the way it finished. There we go with that damn Zoom. Sorry about that, guys. Um, but I kind of wish that Stephanie did it right. Kudos to her because when she wiggled out of Raquel's hold, she's kind of regrouping herself and watching Raquel do her thing. And then she quickly just comes from behind and pretty much sends Raquel reversing her backwards in between the ropes, goes out of the ring, and then the care goes in for the cover, retains the championship that way. It's pretty badass. It was pretty badass. Now, for some of you guys wondering how would you would have done that a little differently, Lee? Here's the thing. I wish that maybe there could have been some type of a chop, but then at the same time, you want to make sure that the opponent that Raquel is holding, you want to make sure that they land properly, safely, and all of that good stuff, right? So there's a part of me that kind of felt it was an eternity having Stephanie hang back while Raquel was trying to regain herself there. Because not for nothing, the spot in that corner between all three of those girls, it was a tiny bit dangerous from my liking. Um, it could have went a little sideways, but I love the fact that Raquel took her time. She knew exactly where she needed to be and how she needed to execute. Stephanie definitely knew, okay, I need to make sure I do this just. It played out beautifully. All said and done. All said and done. Played out beautifully. One of the best matches of the entire night, I gotta say. One of the best matches of the night. Feel kind of bad for Raquel here because Raquel has had these opportunities and she has come up so damn short, but this was one of her best outings yet. She has really grown more and more this calendar year into the big man mentality, and I love that she's really leaning into that and she's working more like a big man. Um, doing big things and all of that. I don't want to see somebody her size. And when I say size, I'm talking about her height. I'm not talking about her weight at all. So I don't need people like, oh man, he's making fun of her weight or he's no, I'm talking about her height. I don't need to see somebody that's got that type of height, right? And with that height comes great strength. I don't need to see somebody doing springboards and Saya moonsaults off the top turnbuckle and no, you want to lean into doing those big boots, those leg drops, those everything that she is doing in her offense. She's really turned a corner for the better. Definitely this calendar year alone, she did really good. And Nikki Bella, I know Nikki Bella has her haters. I know I just said, yo, I'm so happy we didn't get to see her with the championship there. But I will say, Nikki Bella, I got to give her flowers, man. I can't hate the girl. I really can't. She's come in there, and it's pretty much been a case of, okay, what do you need me to do? And she's going in there, and I got to give her due. She is putting in some of her best in ring work, dare I say, almost ever compared to her long time run in the company and all that. So I like what I'm seeing. I really do sincerely like what I'm seeing from Nikki Bella. Now, let's talk a little bit about the Liv Morgan effect. Because going into this match, it seemed that Liv Morgan had some type of motives at play here. She was getting ready to tell Raquel how she spoke with Roxanne Perez. And she was able to get out. I spoke with Roxanne, and then Roxanne pops up and says, "Hey, what's up? I just heard my name. What's good?" And Liv immediately, without missing a beat, says, "Oh yeah, we're just talking about how you and me, we're so excited that Raquel has this opportunity to become the women's champion, and we just want to support and make sure that that championship comes home to the Judgment Day." But Raquel says to Liv, "Hey, appreciate you too, Roxanne, but I want to go out there and I want to do this on my own." And you could just kind of see Liv, oh, okay, well, hey, we respect that. Yeah, no problem. But you could just see a little bit of a devilish little smirk on Liv Morgan's face there, knowing that, okay, well, this probably is going to most likely work to her favor then, right? We see you, Liv. We see you. We see what you're doing. We know what you're cooking up there, honey. We know what you're cooking up. I enjoyed the final showdown, verbal showdown between Braun Breaker and CM Punk. Good shit. They gave Austin Theory an opportunity to talk before Braun and Punk had their battle of words and everything. And Paul Heyman and crew, they officially inducted Austin Theory tonight into the Vision. So officially, he is now a new member. Strength in numbers there, man. And again, now that I put this out there a couple of weeks ago, again, we may not like the guy, but let's give him props, which is, and I'm not talking about Austin Theory. I'm actually talking about Logan Paul. Logan Paul has been quietly making more appearances WWE programming this year alone compared to previous years that he's been with the company. I see you, Logan. I appreciate you. Keep it up. Good shit. Here's the thing. Great back and forth between Braun and CM Punk. And I want to pull up my notes here because there was some really good shit that was said, but there was also something there, like script wise, where I'm just going, Braun, you left yourself exposed there, man. Like Punk could have eaten him alive if he wanted to. And I know Punk knows a thing or two about his football, okay? Just football. Keep that. And I'm talking about the NFL. I'm not talking about the soccer. I'm talking about the NFL, National Football League. So just jump into my notes here. CM Punk coming out there, wanting to talk to Braun one-on-one. Punk talks about how he's been called a lot of things in his career, but also talks about how hopefully someone in the group has a brain. Punk says that the members could do a lot of things to him in the Vision. He knows that they could, but right now he wanted to go one-on-one talking with Braun Breaker and everything. So Punk asks Braun basically, what's up, why we're here. And Braun pretty much talks about how the vision is all about looking at things through the future. Talks about how that future is basically him, Bronson, Logan, and Theory. Furthermore, Braun is sick and tired of everybody saying to him, "Oh, one day you're going to be a great champion. Once you figure it out." And he's like, "Well, that time is now. My time is now. It's not in the future. It's not months from now. Or like it's now." Braun tells Punk that someone in the back, or correction, Braun tells Punk to find someone in the back that pretty much checks off every single box that Braun has. And I mean, so far, Braun he's doing well. He's holding himself damn good toe to toe. Love the consistency and the eye contact. He's saying his shit with conviction. He's got his chest out. Yeah, just everything. All those little nuances that most people are not paying attention to. I'm paying attention to it because I know a thing or two about being behind a camera, and then also, writing a script and trying to direct people as far as like, no, you got to deliver the line this way and all that. This was good stuff that Braun was doing here, where I had a bone of contention was when Braun says to CM Punk, there was a line about the Baltimore Ravens. And let me set this up properly. So Braun says to Punk, "Hey, you want me to kind of do like what you were doing in your day and work around and be in the indies? You want to have a bone of contention with me because I didn't pay my dues, I didn't work the indies and all that?" He's like, "Well, while you were doing all of that crap, I was playing football with Lamar Jackson. All right, I got to share the field with Lamar Jackson." And I'm just going, no, why did you say that? Like, of all the things to say, why would you say that? Punk could have eaten him alive right then and there, but he did not. I did kind of see a little bit of a smirk on his face, kind of like, almost like you fucked up, but I'm going to let you slide on that one. Now, here's why that's an issue. Anybody that knows their football and all that. So we're basically talking, what's that, 2020. Braun Breaker went into the NFL draft. Sadly, Breaker went undrafted. He ended up signing with the Baltimore Ravens. I think it was around March or April of 2020 that he signed with the Ravens. 3 months later, he was released by the Ravens. He did not get to go to another NFL team. So, it's not exactly a good thing to say there, when that information is easily lookable, it's searchable online, right? That's not really a good thing to be boosting about and everything, right? It's like, okay, so you did that, and well, surely you got some tackles in, you played some games. Nope. In the NFL, nope, no stats, nothing. So that's actually not a really good thing to say. But putting that to the side, my man Braun did good. He did good. CM Punk coming right back, dropping the championship right before Breaker's feet, pretty much telling him, yo, you want this, you're going to have to take it. You're going to have to take it from my dead body because I need this championship. Like you're gonna be champion one day for sure. Somebody's gonna come along, somebody's gonna beat me for this, but it ain't gonna be you. Not next week, January 5th. It's not gonna be you. And that pretty much was it right there. It was a good back and forth between both men, really hyping up this main event match that's going to be going down in Brooklyn next week, 1 year anniversary of Raw on Netflix. Looking forward to it. Should be really good. Meanwhile, Gunther still basking in his glory over making John Cena tap out like a little, you know what. Ron, the Truth Killings had an issue with that. This pretty much led to a, well, do something about it. See me in the ring. Gunther just making himself a nice ham sandwich, ham and cheese sandwich out of R-Truth's ass. It pretty much was a glorified squash match. Was what it was. Also, Kabuki Warriors. There was a talking segment involving them, Rhea Ripley, Io Sky. They rumbled for a little bit over by the announcer's table. This pretty much had added more intensity to the Rhea Ripley versus Asuka match that's going to be going down next week on Raw. So nice build up for that. Meanwhile, Bailey, Lyra Valkyria, they went to go see Adam Pearce, wanting to know, you doing this thing for the women's tag titles. We see all these different tag teams in the mix. Well, Bailey and Lyra, names should be thrown into the hat as well. Adam Pearce is taking that under advisement. Javon Williams made a pit stop on tonight's show. I would love to see Javon over on SmackDown. That really, really would be the best move. Because remember, SmackDown's going to be 3 hours. Beginning this Friday. Oh my God, that's going to be a drag. That is going to be a drag. So basically from 8 to 11. Oof, that is going to be a drag. I'm just thinking about my buddy Jason. I know Jason, and he does those long streams too. Poor Jason's probably not going to be able to get to bed until 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. Me, I'm finding as I'm getting older. No, I'm good. Really, really, I'm good. 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning. Like I want to already be in the bed, falling asleep to the Three Stooges or something. Like seriously. Bailey, not Bailey, but Becky Lynch, Maxine Dupree. Nice little back and forth talking segment with them, hyping up their match for that women's IC championship next week. Maxine getting more and more comfortable on the microphone. I got to tell you, as far as like talking with your chest out, the eye contact and the delivery, we just talked about Braun. Got to also give flowers there to Maxine Dupree. She's really been turning a corner for the better these past couple of weeks now. And then also Becky Lynch, the unsung workhorse. I mean, she really has been putting in, like, this second half of 2025. Essentially, it's really been all about her. She's been putting in some really good stuff. I got to see how she did on that new Star Trek show too. By the way, I know she made a little cameo. I got to see how she did on that one whenever that drops. But it seems whoever her agents are, whatever the firm is that's representing her, they're hooking her up with some really good, acting opportunities. And I just love that she's taking what she's learning and applying it to the wrestling ring. Really, really working in her favor. So beyond that, I'm just trying to think if there's anything else in regards to this final WWE Raw for 2025. Nothing else that I can think of. I mean, we just covered everything just now. All in all, nice little go home and really setting up the first Raw of the new calendar year, 2026, the 1 year anniversary show. You know, big things that's happening there. By the way, I love how there was all that chatter about Chris Jericho appearing on tonight's show. I don't know who the hell started that, but there was that chatter floating around about that. I remember what I said here last Monday. I said if the reports are true that Jericho is going to come back to the WWE, why have him appear on the final Raw of 2025? Why not go into 2026 more? And I was very specific. I didn't just say 2026. I was very specific and I said, have him return at the Royal Rumble. You didn't have any great surprises and moments from this past year's Rumble. So why not go ahead and, create some moment? You got an opportunity. Why waste it on, not that it would be a waste. Let me not say that because waste is such a strong word. But why not save a Jericho return for a PLE? Hey, if you didn't order blah blah blah, if you didn't check out the PLE, here's what you missed. Right? You just never know what's gonna happen when it comes to these PLEs, right? Now look, if they decide they want for Jericho to pop up on this 1 year anniversary show, I'm down. I'm down for it. Let's go to the poll, see what you guys had to say about tonight's WWE Raw. Twitter at the RCWR show. See how you guys have voted over there. Right now I am seeing, that's early voting, but I don't like what I see right there. Let me repost that. Really, guys? Hey, you can't make these numbers up. Right now I'm seeing 33% of you guys gave the show a thumbs up. Meanwhile, 66% are giving the show a thumbs down. I don't know. I don't know. Just kind of going back, looking at that card again, because this 4 matches, 2 really good matches, which was the triple threat for the women's IC, and then the tag team championship match. Great segment with Braun Breaker, CM Punk. Continuation there with Dupree, Lynch. I don't know about a thumbs down. I would probably, I'd probably give it a average rating. I would think the show is an average rating. Not for nothing. Definitely better than what's about to happen later this week. When SmackDown moves to 3 hours. Good God Almighty, that is going to be a long. I hope it's going to be entertaining, bell to bell, minute to minute, hour to hour. I really hope that it delivers. I will definitely be watching it. As far as whether or not I'm going to be doing a post show covering Fallout and all that, I don't know yet. Probably not, but we'll see. We'll see. I'll keep bouncing that idea for the next couple of days. By the way, I told you guys, I teased you all earlier, I had something WWE and sports related that I wanted to talk about here. So for those of you that's just now like tuning in and all that, and you missed what I was saying earlier, I had a fantastic Christmas, got a lot of cool, awesome gifts and all that. And my wife said to me on Christmas Day, hey, there was a couple of gifts that didn't make it. They probably won't be coming until, the next day. And then there's other stuff that's going to be scattered for like the next couple of days that's going to get to the house. I'm like, oh, well, that sucks. But okay, well, hey, it's the thought that counts, right? And she's like, yeah, that's true. So a bunch of packages came today. And and I'm telling her, hey, looks like something had came. She's like, oh, okay, bet, thanks. So I see her later, and I'm like, yeah, so can we go ahead? And she's like, I really don't want to open it. It's like, I'm making you dinner. Like, come on, go ahead, see what it is. And she's like, okay, fine. So she's checking everything out, and she's like, okay, yeah, actually, these are for you. This is for me. I'm like, oh, okay. And I can go ahead and open it right now. She goes, yeah, go ahead. And I'm like, it was supposed to be for Christmas, right? She goes, yeah, it was supposed to be for Christmas. Go ahead, open it. I'm like, okay, cool. So one of the things, that she got for me here, I just think this is like one of the coolest things here. She got me this John Cena, I guess you call this Mini X collectible figure. Let me try to have the camera zoom in. No, I am not going to take this out of the box. I like the box that it's in. Thank you very much. It's really, really cool. And I cannot quite remember where I ended up seeing this. I know I saw it online. I actually had to ask her straight up. I said, hey, this was something I sent to you from a URL, right? She was like, yeah. I said, okay, all right, bet. Like, that's really, really cool. Thank you. So that is going to be hanging proudly in the background. And then the other cool thing that she got me, this I could not believe. I'm just going to be quiet for a little bit while I show this off. And for our audio listeners, it's kind of like, what are you showing here, Lee? You can look at it at the 1 hour, 1 minute, 50-second mark. For my webcast audience, what you guys are checking out right now is obviously a autographed Everlast boxing glove. The question is, whose autograph is this on the boxing glove? And as far as whose autograph it is on the boxing glove, it is one of the baddest man on the planets, Iron Mike Tyson. And yes, definitely a controversial figure. For me, though, growing up in Chicago, boy, I tell you, the earliest inklings that I can recall of, I want to do some boxing was because of Mike Tyson. So it's kind of interesting how, and I can't even tell you the story around how it's weird. Because all I remember was the wifey was like, hey, give me your Christmas list. I need it by, and usually what I do, like right around October and November, I usually just start giving her ideas, and I say, it's just an idea. Don't shoot me. And I just tell her, here you go. And she also pays attention to certain things that I'll say in passing. And I'm pretty sure in regards to that glove, I think I said something to her in passing. And I guess she kind of did her own research and maybe figured it out from there. Because I don't even remember sending her a link. If I did send her a link to that, I don't remember it. But yeah, so now I got to find. So if you're keeping track, so we have an autographed Brett Favre football, which you can't see as it's off camera here. And it's in a really nice trophy case. And now we've got a Mike Tyson boxing glove. That definitely needs to go into some type of a glass case, without a doubt. Nice fun little, I even got some really cool reading material too. For you guys that want a really good book to read, I got something I would highly recommend to you guys. See if I can grab it here. Yep. So one of my classes that I took this past semester was a literature and journalism, where basically we provide critical analysis on certain excerpts of from books, news articles, novels, things of that nature. And one of my final papers was from an excerpt, just a couple of excerpts from one of the most prolific civil rights activists, writers of our time, and that is James Baldwin. And James Baldwin wrote this book called Notes of a Native Son. And basically, he's talking about his estranged relationship with his father, while also bringing about the anger that he's had for his father for so many years, reflecting on that anger, and then also bringing into light the anger that he saw his dad have, and pretty much how that played an impact on him growing up. And all of this is just happening as he's reflecting on this, obviously, years later. He's reflecting on all of this while there is two riots that is going on, one in New Jersey, if I'm not mistaken, and the other one in Harlem, all on the same day that he is burying his father. And I believe also his mother had gave birth, I think, to a baby boy. So it's a celebration of life and death at the same time. Well, like all of this controversy that's like going on and all that. Here's the book. You'd be able to find this for a really good deal online. I actually was able to get this book for about $10, $11, I believe, on Amazon. I was able to get this book. So good read if you guys are interested. I would highly recommend you guys check it out. Speaking of that class that I had the excerpt on, I saw that my final grades had came in for this semester that I just wrapped up as a transfer student. Went fantastic. I'm looking, it looks like the cumulative GPA is a 3.5. So I think I should be hearing shortly that I'm on the dean's list. Because from what I was able to see, uh, it looks like it is. I think it's a 3.5, but it's not official yet. Because the last thing I saw was a 3.47. But I know not everything is done being tallied up. So, but it looks like I'm going to be on the dean's list. So not bad for a first semester transfer and all that. So good stuff. Good stuff. All right, let's talk a little bit more wrestling related stuff. I said I was going to be talking about WWE year end, basically looking at the highs, the lows, in between, and all that. We also got a little bit of wrestling news that we can get into as well here on the show. So definitely keep it right here. We're still just getting started when it's all said and done. And we've only been on for just a little bit over an hour now. It looks like my camera zoomed in again. Give me a second here to kind of fix that. I don't know why it keeps doing that. I tell you this, I keep saying it, but I never get around to doing it. Definitely during the week, I'm going to see if I can kind of disable that so it doesn't automatically zoom in like it does, because it's really, really annoying. And as you can see, I'm doing like the littlest thing and it's just zooming in. It's really annoying. Hey, before we talk about WWE the year in review, I want to give you guys a friendly reminder. Go on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/the RCWR show. I've got a community poll that is up right now. I need you all's help. It's going to help me figure out the next couple of weeks of WWE programming for one, but it's also going to help me figure out. See, it did it again. And see, my hands didn't even do anything. My hands didn't even do anything, and it just zoomed in right now. What kind of like it's possessed? It's possessed. That makes no sense. It's fucking possessed. Stop it. Jesus Christ. That thing is possessed. Okay, anyway. Go on youtube.com/the RCWR show. Click on the posts section. I've got a poll up, and this poll is very, very important. I need to hear from all of you guys like ASAP. So here's the deal. We did it last year, and it was great. We're running it back this year, this coming year for 2026, and that is the Lee Sanders Wrestling Awards. And I have a poll up right now asking you guys, when exactly should this be launched? Now, you got some options, but keep in mind that no matter what, this poll is going to be running for an entire month. So right now, I have the poll voting opening Monday, January 5th until January 6th. Okay? Your next option, the voting begins Monday, January 12th, goes until February 12th. You get the gist. The following Monday, as an option, January 18th, you get it. And then the last one, the voting begins January 26th. So I'm giving you guys all this week to basically cast your vote. And what I'm hoping will happen is by the time we get to this Sunday, January 4th, I'll say like maybe by about 3, 4, maybe even 5 o'clock in the evening. I mean, hell, I'm even willing to push it as far as 10, 11 o'clock that night. Let's do it like that. Let's say the polling will stay open until Sunday, January 4th, 11:59 p.m. I'll do like some of my damn classes. Well, some of my professors be doing it. 11:59 p.m. Like, this is when it's due. Vote, 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 vote. And basically, when I I'll actually be up that night. I'll be looking at the results, and that will pretty much let me know how I need to go about the shows, either for this coming week or depending on how you all vote. The one thing that I do know is definitive. Next Monday's show, January 5th, I'll be revealing the award categories, like, pretty much like what joints are up for grabs and all that. And here's what makes our awards really cool. We don't do like some people, and that's not a diss, but we don't do like some people and basically, okay, here's this name, here's this name, here's this name, here's this name. Now, who are you going to vote for? It's open-ended. So, for example, I will say Wrestler of the Year, who you got? And you put in your own answer. And at the very end, I just basically tally everything up, and that's it. That's pretty much how I do it in a nutshell. So be on the lookout for that. All right. Let's talk about WWE here, as far as the highs, the lows, the WTFs, and all of that good stuff here. So, we were talking about it at the top of the show, which is, 2025, a very interesting year for WWE. We saw WWE's flagship show, Monday Night RAW, began a new era in streaming exclusively on Netflix. First time in the company's history that Raw exclusive to basically a streaming app. We also saw WWE make a blockbuster deal with ESPN to basically be the home of all their future PLEs. WWE saw sellout after sellout after sellout of arenas, sold out arenas, sellout arenas. We also saw the retirements of Bill Goldberg, John Cena, debuts for Ray Phoenix, Penta on the main roster, Braun Breaker as well. Technically a reintroduction there of Braun Breaker. Seth Rollins as a world heavyweight champion yet again. Cody Rhodes winning the world heavyweight championship yet again. A lot of stuff that went down this calendar year for WWE. First, let's talk a little bit about some of the highs. Cody Rhodes as the face of the company. Now, granted, you can kind of make the argument that, well, no, not for nothing. Cody Rhodes, he had a nice little run and, yeah, he had a little bit of a hiccup there. But no, you could really look at 2025 really officially as Cody Rhodes truly being the face of the company, being locked in. And, whether people loved every beat of it or not, 2025 did confirm Cody Rhodes as QB1, as the top guy. And with that, Cody Rhodes also brought that big match feel that matters, right? Like anytime Cody Rhodes pops up, like leading up to his matches, during his matches, you just get that big match feel. You get that, yo, this matters. This is very important because Cody Rhodes is involved. And it's been really great to see WWE essentially being fully committed to Cody Rhodes here. Well deserved. Gunther, meanwhile, continued dominance in 2025. This guy has remained one of the most credible champions, let alone opponents, WWE has had in recent memory. He is another one whose matches feel very important. There's this interesting stigma, this mystique that is around Gunther. And I was reading an interesting comment from Kevin Nash the other day. He was talking about it on his podcast. He had some interesting choice words to say in regards to Gunther. I definitely want to just read to you some of those comments that he said and address whether or not Gunther, to Kevin Nash's point, like whether, it's a very valid point or, if it's a slightly off point right here from Kevin Nash. But the comment that he made, see if I can pull this up. Bear with me a second here. Here he is. And I quote, "He doesn't have real heat. No, he doesn't have real heat. He has manufactured heat. It's the closest thing that there is to heat on that show, but he doesn't have heat." Now, Sean Oliver, Nash's co-host, asked if he feels Gunther has the most heat out of anyone on the program, and Nash replied, yeah, it's when he came out, and so his music plays, and then his graphic plays, then he goes out and cuts a promo, and then Adam Pearce comes out and tells him to get the fuck out the building. So they played his music, played his entrance, gave him a microphone, he cut a promo, but when he got done, it's time to get the fuck out the building because you're a bad guy and you got heat. I get what Kevin Nash is saying right here in regards to Gunther. I mean, look, did the John Cena moment essentially take him to that next level? Right? I mean, because Gunther was already, even before, like, people just legit, they were already, it's interesting because they were already hating Gunther, but then at the same time, they eventually came around, the WWE fans, and they let their admiration, their appreciation for Gunther be known. I don't think anybody thought for a second that Gunther was not going to be John Cena's final opponent. I don't think that was ever in doubt. Um, could the booking have been a little bit better in how Gunther was handled after he said what he said? And, you got Adam Pierce pretty much responding the way that he is by basically kicking Gunther out of the arena, out of the building. You know what? I will agree with Kevin Nash on. Yeah, that was a little silly. I think instead the way that Adam Pearce in storyline should have countered that, it should have been. So you're feeling pretty damn good about yourself, huh? You retired, a 17-time world heavyweight champion, a future Hall of Famer there, and John Cena. You're just filling yourself up pretty damn good, huh? Well, make no mistake about it, with how you are showing this continued lack of respect for John Cena, you're on my shit list, pal. And I can promise you, things from here on out is going to be much harder for you. And yeah, I don't want you come running to me, crying foul because karma is a bitch. And since you were willing to grace the fans with an appearance here tonight, why don't you go find your boots? You got a match tonight. That would have been fine. That would have been fine. So I do agree with Kevin Nash, to a certain degree, but like when you just look at Gunther in general, I mean, this guy is just. I said it last week. This guy would have thrived so damn easily in the 70s. 60s for sure, 70s definitely. 80s, it was starting to get too cartoony and everything, but Gunther is all about that. No comedy, no nonsense, just straight up Ivan Drago 2.0, and he's all about the fucking brutality. Well, I love what we got here of Gunther because he's a reminder that wrestling still works when you have the right opponent in the right storyline and you need to book it seriously, and you can constantly keep having it go over. Gunther is that constant reminder. Continuing on with the WWE highs for 2025, Rhea Ripley star power, whether she has a championship around her waist or not, I mean, she still feels like a centerpiece in WWE, does she not? And it feels so natural. It just organically, like it does not feel forced at all. The crowd still there, still riding with her. You see whenever she does these meet and greets, how massive the turnout is, right down to the point when she's at airports and hotels and all that. People are just flagging her down and all that. And she's got to go on social media giving friendly reminders, not to be ambushing her and all that. Um, she is one of the few acts that if creative, and we've seen situations with creative where we're just going, what the hell are they doing with Rhea? Like, this really isn't kind of clicking here. What we've seen her this year deal with some bad WWE creative, yet despite that, she has somehow continued to be immune from it. Like, her star power just remains essentially intact. Another high for WWE for the most part, the PLE match quality. I mean, on average, the PLEs delivered more than they failed this year. WWE, for the most part, in 2025, it seems like they leaned, at least from my observation, I would love to hear from you guys, but it seems like they leaned harder into letting matches really breathe. And it also feels like there's been less overbooking compared to the previous years. Sound off on that. Love to know what you all think. Also, the women's division, it is getting more main event ish. It is getting more priority. It's getting more trust. Now, granted, in regards to the women's division, it's not quite perfect, right? But there's been more women's matches that have felt like legit attractions. Like, no, I legit need to sit down and I need to watch this. This is actually pretty good. While we got some folks that want to trip over, somebody that hasn't appeared on programming in weeks to months, or is just very, very inconsistent. We've got in all of 2025 these sleeper hits of women's matches, just the division as a whole. When you look at the singles, whether you want to talk about the women's IC title, or you want to talk about the women's tag titles, or the women's champions, it's just overall, as far as 2025 goes, definitely better presentation taken, as far as I'm concerned. Very good stuff. Speaking of good, let's talk about good in WWE for 2025. Solid, not perfect, but just, hey, pretty good. Let's talk about NXT. Continued stability. Remember, NXT, I'm trying to think, when did NXT do its thing on the CW? It kind of feels like that was this calendar year as well. When did NXT start on the no, wasn't it oh wow, no, it started on the CW October of last year. So they just passed their little 1 year anniversary not long ago. Wow, man, it's amazing how time flies, right? Anyway, you look at NXT and you look at the continued stability that NXT has shown this calendar year. I mean, not hot, not cold, just right. Development, is actually developmental talent is actually being developed again. And I love the fact that just in 2025 alone, there's been a clear and distinct pipeline to the main roster. Just all throughout 2025, and particularly, you think to all these people that we've been seeing cross over to the shows within recent weeks, such as Javon Evans, Trick Williams, Lash Legend. And we've been getting the cameos there of Oba Femi, and you're just going, wow, this dude is definitely going to be a force to reckon with whenever. And we know Ricky Saints is not that far away, right? Jada Parker, we know that's another one that eventually is going to be coming up to the main roster. So when you look at that stability that's going on there in NXT, and then look, we'll talk more about TNA wrestling because I am going to be doing a bonus show for you guys this week. I just don't think it's going to be Friday. I was picturing doing 3 shows because I wanted to do one show mainly dedicated to WWE, which is what we're doing right now tonight. But then I also wanted to do a year in review for AEW. And I was thinking about the idea of maybe like one more show, but I don't know about that just yet. But anyway, I'll figure it out. Um, but I would be remiss if I didn't say, while talking about NXT, let's not also forget 2025 was the year that TNA Wrestling really, really blossomed more in their partnership with WWE, more specifically, in working with NXT. And we see that coming up on Thursday, January 15th. TNA Wrestling is going to be debuting on AMC. I'm excited for that. And mark down your calendars on that Thursday, the January 15th. I will be bringing back on a weekly basis too, live Impact Showdown. For those of you that remember that series, that was a series very near and dear to my heart. I loved covering all things TNA, so I'm excited to be getting back on the saddle again and talking about that show on a regular basis. Let's also talk about the tag team division as a whole within WWE. We've seen many instances in 2025. It's been inconsistent, and then it's been, oh, where we've seen WWE where they kind of don't care about the tag division. But then we've seen when WWE cares, the tag matches, the division, like it's delivering, which emphasizes that the problem never, and I want to make sure that this is stressed, the problem has never been about the talent in the tag team division, because we've got War Raiders, we've got New Day. Eventually, we're gonna have Penta and Ray Phoenix do their thing. Like it's just a matter of time. You know, we've seen the reestablishment of the Kabuki Warriors. We saw a tag team that we didn't think we would ever see, and Lyra Valkyria and Bailey. We've seen Rhea Ripley and Io Sky. Very quirky, interesting dynamic of a tag team. They are Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair. Like, wait, what? Nia Jax and Lash Legend. Um, God, I'm thinking over on SmackDown, Kiana James and Julia. Like the talent is not the issue. It is just all about. I know there's a bunch of teams that I forgot, but like when it's all said and done, the problem is not the talent. It's just all about the consistency when it comes to the tag team wrestling and all that. Let's talk about things from a production standpoint. That's definitely I eat, sleep, and breathe stuff from a production and presentation standpoint with all the work that I do in media and everything. WWE in 2025, they still look like that shiny, polished $1 billion princess. Okay. They still look like that. I love the implementation of drones that they've used this calendar year. I've also loved that they've been playing around with 8K footage. I know the difference between 4K and 8K footage, and they've been playing around with a lot of that, a lot. And in the way in which they combine all of that, it creates big feel moments. The crowd shots, the entrances, the pacing, everything continues to be on point. We're getting to a point right now, sadly, and we'll talk about this a little bit later on because it's more on the fiscal side of things for WWE. But, we're getting to that point now where the average fan is getting priced out from attending these WWE events. And, there might not be anything, it sucks, but there might not be anything wrong with getting priced out if it means that you can just enjoy WWE programming in the comfort of your own home and maybe have a little get together with friends and family. I mean, I know this really isn't something that happens in today's time, but when I was growing up, we used to do live watch parties, and anybody that was interested in coming over, all they had to do was drop $5, and not only did they got to watch WWE programming on the big TV, but that $5 got them access to our fridge. As far as you want to make yourself a sandwich, you want some chips, you want some drinks, and all that. And that's how we did it. We would charge five. Me and my friends, we would do this. We would do this. We would charge like $5, and then when it came to the pay-per-views, we made sure that we didn't up the price. Believe it or not, we didn't up the price when it came to the pay-per-views. We kept the same amount at play, even when it came to the pay-per-views. I remember when TNA Wrestling had first started, basically, and you wanted to watch those episodes on weekly on pay-per-view. We all would get our money together from doing our little house chores or little side job hustles or whatever, and we come together and do it like that. I can see that really making a significant comeback with the way these prices are going, especially in this streaming digital age that we're in. Let's talk a little bit about the lows in WWE. There's definitely some lows in there. The stop start pushes. There's been too many wrestlers that have cooled off for really no reason. R-Truth was a great example of that. All that great buzz when he first got released. Everybody came together. What the hell? What the hell? And then it kind of seemed like when they were doing the whole Ron Killings thing, it kind of seemed like, oh, okay, so dude's back, but it's actually Ron Killings. Like, okay, and he had this new look. He shaved his hair, and that's pretty much been rather inconsistent. Yeah. Another person that I look at is Karrion Kross. And what sadly happened with Karrion Kross and Scarlett, kind of unfortunate, how all of that had played out. Just two main examples off the top of my head. You also think about the fact that how it ties into momentum loss because of creative reset syndrome, right? And these are definitely things that fans notice. Before Chad Gable got injured, a lot was, what the hell is going on here with Chad Gable? Like, why is this guy continuing to what the hell? You look at the mid card for WWE, and there's been times where the mid card has felt directionless at times, has it not? And it really has definitely really has felt that way. We've seen some instances where titles have changed hands without like really any story, without any really good, significance to it. Again, it's been kind of one of those things though where WWE, whatever hiccups they were having the first half of 2025, seems like they really rectified it in the second half of 2025. Did they not? From seeing fighting tag champions in AJ Styles and Dragon Lee, speaking of dragons, Dragonoff, and the great United States Open Challenge that he was doing left and right, continuing off there from Sami Zayn, as a now Carmelo Hayes is our new United States champion. That was a great match that they had on SmackDown uh, over the weekend, by the way. Really, really had enjoyed that. Um, Definitely, in the past, some reigns existed just to exist, but now it really feels like there is enough of a creative thought process, enough thought, meaning that's put into it and all that. But we've seen our fair share of some directionless, you know what I'm trying to say. Also, there's been inconsistent babyface booking or just inconsistent babyface heel booking. I think Seth Rollins, and I love Seth. I love Seth. I do. When I know Seth Rollins is on the card and he's going to wrestle, I know I'm going to get a damn good match. Love the dude. My bone of contention, and it's not him, it's really the fans. So he does these heel things. He does these things where you should be hating him. And yet he has this theme music that everybody sings along to. It's really, really weird. And for me personally, WWE is still struggling with the booking of, okay, so what are we doing here long term with this person? Is this person a heel or is this person a baby face? Like, what are we doing here? Right? We've seen our fair share in 2025 of, pretty much a lot of suffering. Maybe, you'll win later, basically. But again, it's been one of those things where, like, again, as a whole in WWE, the first half of 2025, it's like, and then they've slowly tried rectifying it in the second half. Now, again, what we just talked about, that was like the lows. Let's talk about, if you want to call it that, let's talk about maybe the downright bad. And we'll mix it in with the downright stupid at the same time. Now, let's be honest. WWE, they're still doing this, but the repetitive TV structure, opening promo, interruption, match, that formula is still like, it's gotten to a point now where fans can freaking predict what's going to happen. We got to shake up that monopoly already. We really, really, really do. You've got heatless feuds on big shows. There's been cases in WWE in 2025 where there's been many PLE matches that feel more like, well, we need to just put something here because we got this card. And when you keep having that kind of mindset, you're exposed for it because the crowd reactions tell you what you need to know. Now, whether or not you're going to listen to those crowd reactions and adapt accordingly, right? Also, we've seen our fair share to a certain degree of overexposed factions. Again, it's been kind of one of those deals where, some of the factions you're going, like, I never thought I would say, and Lord knows how much of a Bray Wyatt fan I am to this day. I'm just going, I'm not feeling the Wyatt Six. God bless keeping the dream alive. Like, but it's just not the same. It's just not the same. And it breaks my heart because I know, and if I'm the only one that has enough conviction to say it publicly, then I guess I'll be the one to die on that sword alone, but I know in my heart of hearts, just as I know many hardcore Bray Wyatt fans know in their hearts that if Bray Wyatt was still with us to this day, this Wyatt 6 vision, however he was picturing it, we know it would be 10 times better than what we're getting right now. Anytime I turn on my TV and I go, oh shit, the Wyatt 6 is still a thing, that's not good. That's not good at all. It's not good at all. Um, I don't like saying that. I don't. I really, really don't. But and then you got that one faction that's down there in NXT. What are they called? Are they called the System? Bunch of guys wearing masks. They've popped up and done some stuff in TNA. I don't like that. It's just not working. That faction right there, it's just not working. I think one of the best stables that they had kind of going on, and I would have loved to seen it go much longer. Believe it or not, I enjoy Chase U. I enjoyed the hell out of Chase U. I don't like what basically became a Chase U. Also, continuing on, we're talking about bad and downright stupid. For downright stupid, how about some of the booking that insults fan memory? You know, we're still dealing with, they've kind of tried to scale it back a little bit, but we had our fair share of, hey, we know this happened like literally 5 minutes ago. We took a commercial break and, but we want to show this to you again. Like, we're good. Now, if you want to remind me about something that happened some months back because you did like some scarce breadcrumbs of storytelling, but the way you dropped those breadcrumbs, it was like Easter egg breadcrumbs. And now you're stringing it all together to let the fans know all the signs were basically there. I'm down with that. I am definitely down with that. Overall, 2025, not a bad year for WWE, but it wasn't exactly a great one either. For me, it kind of feels like WWE played it more safe to the vest than they should have. Um, they've definitely proven that when they've trusted a when they've trusted the wrestling and that wrestler, like everything worked on all cylinders. But then at the same time, we've seen instances where when they've stalled, uh, and if you maybe want to say overthought, we've also seen how, as a result of it, it basically drags the product down overall. My grade for WWE this year, I'm going to give it a thank you, Dark State. I just saw the comment in the chat. I am so sorry if it took me a while. And let me pull that up. Let me pull that up. Bear with me here. Dark State. How long? Oh, that was 7 seconds ago. Good. I don't feel that bad. I thought I missed it like 2, 3 minutes ago. Who is that? Blue Red. Thank you, Blue Red. Dark State. That NXT faction. Dark State. That's who I was thinking of earlier. Yeah, get them off my damn TV. Like, none of those guys, they're not doing it. As many of you guys know, I play WWE Supercard, and anytime I come across a Dark State card, I automatically turn that card into dust so I can get me some super coins. It's like I haven't come across a Dark State card yet. That's what's the new tier that Supercard is on now? Static. I haven't come across a Dark State member yet, but trust me, if I get a Dark State member of the static tier, I'm grinding that bitch in the dust. I don't give a fuck. Get them off my, it's a dark state of mind that I'm in, of dark depression when I see Dark State pop up on my TV. Yeah, go on. Thank you, Blue Red. I appreciate that. But my final grade for WWE for this calendar year, just with everything that we talked about so far, like on the booking, the wrestling, the production of the shows and all that. Remember, we haven't even talked about like the economic shit with WWE. We're going to talk about that in a hot second. And that's not going to be as long-winded, but you'll find that interesting. But my overall grade, B minus for WWE. I think that's pretty fair, all things considered, because they've definitely shown some strong foundations. But at the same time, a lot of what WWE does with its story arcs on a bad thing to its wrestlers from a bad front, is pretty much self inflicted, combined with missed opportunities that, kept something from being really, really special, right? So, yeah. Now, for those of you that's going, well, Lee, what about Raw versus SmackDown versus NXT? Well, we kind of talked about NXT, yeah? So there's really no, like, if I were to just single out NXT, what I would like to see NXT do going forward, too many times they have put, and this is not the fault of Ava, The Rock's daughter. Y'all need to be very careful how you talk about, not you, the fans, because y'all know better. I'm looking at the Dave Meltzers, the Brian Alvarez's, and all those cats. Y'all need to be careful how you talk about certain people. In this case, Ava is a good example. If you're going to shit on the idea of what Ava is doing as an on screen character, remember at the end of the day, she's taking dictation, right? She's taking direction. So what you need to be shitting on is not the person that's pretty much delivering their, you really got to be shitting on the person that is the director, the technical director, and whoever is writing the script. You got to hold them accountable, right? Now, look, having done my fair share of, media production, graded media production work as a student, and knowing the inner workings and all that, just kind of give you guys a little bit of a peek behind the curtain. I've been on the side as a talent where I'm going through a script and I've got my highlighter and I'm going through all my lines, and then I am taking a different color highlighter and I'm going, I got a problem with this. Like, this doesn't flow. I'm not going Orson Welles on the bitch, but I'm going, this doesn't make sense because da 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 da. How about we do da 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 da? And I have been at the receiving end of, that's a really good idea. Go ahead, change that. To, no, no, no. Stick to that. That's what we're doing. I don't know how Ava is rolling. I don't know if she is just showing up and she's just, give me the script. What do you got? Okay. And she's just, whatever. Your guess is as good as mine. Like, legit, I don't know. But we have seen some really bad booking of her. Like, one that comes to mind, it was in the later half of 2025. Something, I can't remember the wrestler. Maybe you guys will remember, but there was something stupid that went down where some wrestler kept beating up some wrestler or whatever. And this wrestler did like some heinous foul shit. And Ava's like, you know what? You've been doing this week in, week out, blah, 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 blah. So, I'm going to book you in a match for the championship. And it's like, how does that make sense? How does that make sense? That's, again, this isn't Ava's fault. But, like, if you're the fan and you're watching that, you're going, yeah, this doesn't quite make a lot of sense. What the hell, man? They've kind of scaled back a little bit on the slapstick comedy, just a bit. I appreciate that. Although I do love me some Chase U. I remember at one point it was the Tony D'Angelo show. I know he's back. He's got a new look apparently. I'm actually going to watch NXT. I haven't watched it in several weeks, so I'm curious to see like where things currently are right now. The last time I watched NXT was when Oba Femi first returned, and he was just, damn, that boy been eating his Wheaties. What the hell? You know, I mean, he got all big and shit. Um, Raw, Raw for the most part, some would say, you know, some would say it was a little bit of a long show, but for me personally, I kind of felt that for the most part, Raw was okay. This is what we're gonna do. We got these four matches. If we can squeeze out five from time to time, that's great. But you know, this is our formula. We're in, we're out. Let's go. Still, for some people, it probably felt just a little bit too long. I know when we got the episode of Raw that dropped last week, and if you guys remember, I said how it was on for basically an hour and 34 minutes. There was like no ads. If you were fortunate to watch it as soon as it dropped promptly at 8 p.m., you didn't go through any commercials, and you're like, wow, that was like a fast 90 something minutes. Like, okay, great. Versus 2 plus hour, 2 hours, 35 minutes and all of that. But there's been a lot of times in 2025 where when Raw hit, very, very rare, but when Raw hit on all cylinders, I mean, the promos, the matches, you were going, okay, overall, this was pretty good. Gunther was definitely one of the key figures that helped elevate the show anytime he appeared. As same can be said for Roman Reigns, as the said can be said for CM Punk. But at the same time, these longer shows, all from Raw, also expose creative weakness and, dare I say, creative exhaustion. Way too much filler, even right down to the damn commercials. Angles were stretched out very thinly instead of tightened, sharpened, multi-layered, even more. Whereas when you went to SmackDown, this was, while SmackDown was 2 hours, better pacing, tighter pacing, easier to watch week in and week out. I mean, just a fast, 2 hours, and you're like, wow, fewer risk as a result. At the same time, some stars felt underutilized compared to Raw. I'm looking at you, Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins. I love me some Street Profits. I love me some B-Fab. I don't care what anybody says that want to be saying their hate on B-Fab. They want to say she sucks. I actually am in the minority that actually appreciates B-Fab. I appreciate Mishin, Mia Yim. I appreciate her as well. But there's been some people that's just been, quietly, far as I'm concerned, on the SmackDown roster, that's been underutilized. But despite that, SmackDown for me in 2025 has felt more like the reliable, consistent, overall good show. Shout out to Cody at the helm, pretty much. And Drew McIntyre, the unsung hero of SmackDown. Drew fucking McIntyre. Enough said. But show for 2025 between all three of the brands, definitely SmackDown, without a doubt. SmackDown, without a doubt. Let's see. Other than that, I think we pretty much, let's talk about the business side of things, right? Not drawn out, but you got to look at the business side of things in regards to WWE. As far as the business growth for WWE in 2025, these guys saw big revenue growth. WWE reported a 24% increase in total revenue. First quarter of 2025 hitting about $391 million versus $316 million back in the first quarter of 2024. Now, to do something a little bit more recent, just in the third quarter of this calendar year, 2025, WWE's revenue alone was a little bit over 402 million, which was also a 23% year over increase. Think about that for a second. 402 million. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Also, strong corporate picture despite mixed segments. Parent company TKO reported $1.12 billion in total revenue for quarter three of 2025. That's combined UFC and WWE, with WWE's portion up and others down. Then you look at that ESPN streaming rights deal, which we talked about here on the show at great length. Combine that with but just to kind of remember that ESPN streaming rights deal, that's a $1.6 billion deal for 5 years. So basically $325 million annually. Look at the Netflix deal, which is still a huge deal. That's a 10-year deal with Netflix valued at $5 billion. Okay. The TV and streaming viewership data, record viewership for WrestleMania and the Royal Rumble. Royal Rumble 2025 set its highest viewership ever domestically on Peacock and saw merchandise revenue jump 95% over its prior year. So that's great. WrestleMania 41, meanwhile, saw viewership rise 114% year over year across Peacock and Netflix combined. The global Netflix viewing, WWE content on Netflix accumulated more than 280 million viewing hours in the first half of 2025. Has there been a little bit of a decline since then? Yes, without a doubt. Yes. Raw episodes posted big numbers, with one episode reaching 6.9 million global views. Fun trivia for you guys, if you know which show that probably was. Hint, hint. US TV ratings, SmackDown in December of 2025 drew 1.24 million viewers. That's pretty strong for cable, but let's not forget, there was a more recent episode of SmackDown within, I believe, the last 2 weeks where they couldn't even crack 1 million. And to my knowledge, there was no football on. I think maybe there was a couple of basketball games on, but nothing to the extent of, oh my God, I got to drop the remote. I got to watch this. Nothing of that magnitude. Meanwhile, live events and attendance, as we all know as fans, the ticket prices, it's gone up. But you look at the attendance trends, everybody's got to get in on a piece of the action. They got to be part of it. They don't want to miss out. It almost kind of seems like if you have some type of a movie deal, or you got an upcoming fight or an event, album getting ready to drop, if you can get those first 3 rows or whatever, like it's kind of one of those, this is where you want to be, right? That's where we are right now with the WWE brand when it comes to ticket pricing and looking at the attendance trends. Ticket prices for WWE events has risen since the TKO merger, obviously drawing fan criticism about the higher revenue. SmackDown live attendance at certain stops dropped sharply during late 2025, for example, averaging around 6,800 attendees in recent weeks after previously higher averages. Meanwhile, merchandise and sponsorship growth, that's pretty much increased like a mofo. Royal Rumble merchandise sales nearly doubled, 95% increase versus prior events record. So basically, you're hearing all this jargon. You're probably saying, well, what does this mean for WWE exactly? Well, definitely some positive business indicators. Revenue is growing significantly year over year. Major media rights deals are long-term, and as a result of that, has a lot of high value involved. Streaming metrics, especially everything that's going on with Netflix, show that WWE is a global draw. You're looking at the pressure points. Traditional TV ratings remain volatile, and rightfully so. Some live attendance numbers dipped in secondary markets. Ticket price inflation is, you know, that's definitely a public relations thing, a fan relations thing as far as how fans are challenging it, right? So a little bit something to think about there. It's funny because as we're talking about all of that, I'm also reminded about the recent report that was floating around there by Brandon Thurston over on the Post Wrestling site, where apparently, and this should really be no shocker, but basically, uh, Vince McMahon, when he, I guess, stepped down the first rodeo from WWE, Mark Shapiro, essentially, who's now president of TKO, sent internal texts the day that McMahon retired, predicting McMahon. It wasn't even a prediction. It was basically like insider trade info. He's basically saying, "Oh, McMahon's going to be back in 9 months. He'll return to the company, and he's going to possibly take WWE private or sell it, possibly to Endeavor." So, like, the gears were already in motion. Why everybody is acting so stunned and surprised right now over this, I don't know why. I really don't. It is what it is. If you want to knock yourself off, it's a great read by Brandon Thurston, by the way. If you want to check it out, it's over on the Post Wrestling site. Meanwhile, I know that was like a lot of mumbo jumbo there. Uh, Mike Tyson. We were just showing off the Mike Tyson glove earlier. If you guys did not get a chance to see, and you're just now tuning in, nice, cool belated Christmas present. I was given a Mike Tyson autographed boxing glove. How badass is that? I mean, that's just. I can't wait to put that in a glass case, man. I'm definitely going to be doing that ASAP. Mike Tyson, Ric Flair. They have made headlines. Apparently, they are suing a cannabis company for, get this, a total of what is this? $50 million for alleged embezzlement scheme. Not sure if you guys had heard about it, but yeah, Tyson, along with the WWE Pro Wrestling Hall of Famer Ric Flair, they submitted a lawsuit related to their former cannabis licensing company. It's a 76-page lawsuit filed in Illinois on behalf of Tyson and Flair by their lawyers, accusing Karma executives of a RICO conspiracy involving criminal wire fraud, embezzlement, money laundering, extortion, and securities fraud. These claims are filed in civil court and would not require jail time, although the lawsuit seeks $50 million in damages and legal fees, and the plaintiff's lawyers have requested a jury trial. Throughout their time at Karma, apparently, gentlemen by the name of Bronstein and Wilkes treated Karma as their own personal piggy bank, using more than $1 million to pay for unauthorized personal travel on private jets, costs associated with Bronstein's personal yacht, renovations to Bronstein's personal residence, a mortgage payment for Wilkes' personal residence, and lavish entertainment expenditures for Wilkes, including apparently exuberant priced meals and travel expenditures, as well as excessive and unapproved compensation and bonuses. A court filing obtained by the Post read, New York Post. Tyson and Flair have tapped a New York-based law firm to represent their interests in the lawsuit. Along the claims or allegations that Bronstein, Wilkes, and Crosby So licensing rights, they were not allowed to under agreements with Tyson and Flair. Suit also accuses Wilkes of having an undisclosed kickback deal with vape maker Dom Pan, under which he received concealed payments in exchange for turning a blind eye to Dom Pan's unauthorized use of Karma's intellectual property, according to the filing. Dom Penn is not named as a defendant. So there is where we stand right now with this 76-page civil lawsuit there by Ric Flair and Mike Tyson. This is really, 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 no shit, it's bad, but this is a prime example of why I cannot stress it enough. There are just so many Ponzi schemes that's going on, and with the sophistication and integration of AI being part of the new wave of scams these days, and you can get somebody's voice and do all kinds of crazy shit with AI, and essentially get access to somebody's bank information and all that other shit if you have the right amount of information. This right here with Ric Flair and Mike Tyson is a very, very dark reminder, yet a friendly reminder. Be very, very careful who you do business with. Be very, very careful who you do business with. Now, I've always been a firm believer in, okay, when I'm doing research on folks that I want to work with, and look, I'm not telling you guys anything that I don't do myself, first and foremost. But you always want to do your research. You always want to know who you're potentially going to be doing business with and decide whether or not you actually want to do business with them. If I cannot find any type of a trail online and all I have to basically rely on is hearsay and all of that, that's not really enough for me. If I do not see any type of a digital footprint online and I'm essentially going in blind, I got to basically rely on, I don't see anything negative, so I guess it's okay. It's like, nah, no, 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 nah, nah. It's got to be for me. It's got to be, okay, who do I know that somehow I will play that Kevin Bacon pyramid game? Like somehow we're all connected because of this one person. So let's figure it out. And if we can figure out that little pyramid and somehow we all connect, then I know that I'll be in good hands and I can do business with you. Let's go ahead. Let's do this. This is, I'm glad that they were able to figure this out early, because if I'm not mistaken, I think it feels like it was either a year ago or 2 years ago that Ric Flair and Mike Tyson had made the announcement they were going to be partnering up and all that for this little cannabis company venture that they were embarking on and all that. I can tell you, over the years, we've had the pleasure of working with different sponsors for the show. I've had sponsors that have hit me up and they go, "Hey, look, I got this." I'll give you a perfect example. There was one sponsor a couple of years ago, a potential sponsor. This one client hit me up. He wanted me to promote his podcast. And I said, well, give me a link, tell me about your podcast, what is it about, da 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 da. And basically, and how this guy did not do his own research, why he didn't do his own research is beyond me. But this guy's podcast, he was very, very, how can I put this? I'll just put the first thing that comes to mind. Um, he wasn't for the mixing of races. You know what I mean? He wasn't for black people being friends, being friendly with Hispanics and Asians and whites. And this was a white person. This was a white person that believed in segregation. And it was, I mean, this was, it was really out there. This was like maybe back around 20, I think it was like around 2018, 2019. I had this potential client slide into my email or whatever. And once I had figured out what this person was about, I immediately said to them very, very politely, very professionally, I didn't let them know what I knew, but I just said, yeah, appreciate you. Like, yeah, no, gonna have to pass on this one. Extremely, extremely busy, but wish you all the best. Good, good lookout. Appreciate you reaching out. You know, much success. I just quietly said to myself, dodge a fucking bullet right there. No, really, you got to be careful who you do business with. Now, some of you may say, so Lee, does that mean that maybe one should do business like with a friend? Only if you've known that friend for years upon years upon years upon years upon years, and you fucking like you trust them with your life and your kids and vice versa, then yeah, sure. Um, the best business, look, for me personally, the best form of business is when you're in a position where you can work with your family. I've been in a fortunate position over the years, as long as I've been doing my podcast, anything show related. I've been able to ask my wife for help. I've been able to ask my mother-in-law for her input, get her advice. I've been able to talk to friends of the show, get their advice, and it's like, and I trust them. I trust them. I know they won't tell me what I want to hear, right? It's not tell me what I want to, like, tell me what I need to know, right? And if it's a situation where it's like, Lee, you're kind of overstepping your bounds on this one, like, I got a bad feeling about this one, or don't do this because XYZ. I have the type of inner circle that will give me shit on the real. So, it's unfortunate that Ric Flair and Mike Tyson, and look, Mike Tyson has been involved in some bad deals before. I mean, god damn, I think about the shit that went down with Don King. Don King took so much money. He took so much money. I mean, Don King was like essentially the black version of the Colonel, and Mike Tyson pretty much Elvis. If you think about how the whole money scheme contract structure had went between the Colonel and Elvis, no different than what Don King was doing with Tyson back in the day. And then Flair has always made bad uh, business decisions. I mean, we've seen him flop on so many business endeavors. It's not even funny. Speaking of Ric Flair, nice segue. Ric Flair has been receiving backlash for a drunken cameo message. Now, I would share this cameo clip in question, but where I'm concerned is because it is essentially the property of Cameo. Like, I don't want Cameo coming after us. I know I can get away with the audio version, so maybe I'll slide the audio version in for our listeners on demand and downloads. But for those of you that's not aware about Cameo, Cameo is basically a site that you can go to where you can have your favorite celebrity for a modest fee. You can have them say, possibly do things within reason, that they feel comfortable doing. Basically, you can let that celebrity know, hey, it's my friend, or it's my spouse's, or it's my relative's birthday, or can you wish them good luck on this new endeavor, or they're getting married, or it's really cool. It's really really cool. So here's where things get kind of interesting here. A fan on Twitter reposted a video of Flair's cameo, of the cameo in question, back in April. And Ric Flair was intoxicated during this. He also was not following the fans' instructions. And the customer that paid for this, apparently, they paid about $1,000 for this cameo. Here's what the fan had said. Oh, and keep in mind, um, the customer's instructions note that it's a bachelor's gift. And in response, Flair questions the fans' decision to get married, even cursing and urging the fan to not go through with it. And as y'all know, Flair's been married, I don't know, I lost track a lot of times, more than 3 for sure. Here's what the fan had said. After spending nearly $1,000 to have someone my brother admired enough to have tattooed on him, wish him luck on his wedding. I would have expected Rick to at least browse through the notes ahead of time, not read it word for word the first time, and most definitely not tell him he's making a mistake, and to remain a GF because he was so fucked up he could barely speak right. What would have been a great gift ended up being the worst thing he's ever been gifted. Now, I know what you guys are saying when you hear that. Jesus, Lee. What the fuck? Um, this is interesting, and it's been interesting seeing a lot of people's responses to this. I only saw just a handful, and just to kind of get a gauge on the water, just kind of test the water, see where everybody is. Um, Look, first of all, you're talking about a cameo from Ric Flair. All right. Let me tell you something. Y'all remember Ric Flair's last match? I remember when it came to ordering really cool stuff from the Ric Flair's last match store. It was an online store. If you couldn't be there in person, they had an online store there. And they had 8x10s, action figures, whole 9 yards. I remember I ended up ordering, I think I ordered a 11x14 autograph photo. I've yet to hang that up too. I got to see if I can find that in the coming days and try to get that framed and hung up already. And what made this so interesting was the fact that when I ordered, I was under the impression I was automatically gonna get my shit mailed out within a couple of days. But there was a little fine print that was on the site that basically said, look, this is not going to be mailed out to you until after the conclusion of the event. And it was like, oh, damn, it's like that? Well, okay, sure, what the hell? So I still did it because I felt at that time I was getting a Ric Flair autograph for a really good deal. I think at that point it was maybe 150. I think he wants, with inflation and all that, more money now than back then. So once the event wrapped up, I think I was waiting, I would say a month and a half to 2 months before I finally had got that 11 by 14 in the mail. But I tell you what, and I have yet. I think I'm trying to think if I did at least open it just to look at it, and I was very satisfied. I was like, well, took a while, but hey, it's worth the wait. All right, cool. I'm satisfied. I know there were other fans that bought other things. If I remember right, I think there was. I hate to speculate, but wasn't there some kind of a 3D scan figure that was available during that Ric Flair's last match? I think there was something that was available maybe in person. Like, I remember fans had some bad experiences with some of the packages, the combo packages that was available, and it's just ugh, you hear that. We've seen drunken Ric Flair out in public on several occasions. We know this guy loves his booze. This is one of those things where don't say you didn't know, right? You're literally going into this hoping for the best. And look, I'm not saying that, shame on this fan for like they should have known. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is, though, when you know the history of somebody, like you can't assume because you're dropping $1,000 that they're going to be on their best behavior. You can't assume that. And I mean, my God, my friends and family will tell you this. I sound like a broken record when I say this, but I always say this to them. The best consumer is an educated consumer because all you got to do, and I would imagine that before this fan had complained and left their rating, that they did for Ric Flair, maybe this ding wasn't as bad. Like who knows? But when you go on Ric Flair's cameo, you see that he's sitting at a 4.82 out of 5 stars based on 449 reviews. And it looks like the average price, he asks for $500 for his cameos. And it looks like he usually makes it available within 24 hours. And apparently, you can either do this for a holiday, say happy birthday, football fantasy, send a pep talk, roast someone, get advice, ask a question or other. Guys, gals, all you got to do is click on reviews, and you can do this for anybody on Cameo. And in the case of Ric Flair, I see that for 5 stars, 93% of his customers, and this is probably to this guy's credit. Maybe he saw what I'm seeing and said, I should be okay. But 93% of the people that that had a good experience, they're in the 5 star rating. I see 2% at 4 stars, 2% at 3 stars, 1% at 2 stars, 3% at 1 stars. If you're like me, you're going right for the 1 stars and you're trying to see how recent those were. And so, for example, there's one star review from November 26th of this year. Yo, I paid $600 for Ric Flair to sit in a restaurant, blast it out of his mind, and say my dad's name wrong. I paid for him to say Merry Christmas to my father, Buff. He called him Barf and just read the instructions word for word. I'm super disappointed. I spent money on this. I would have got someone who actually puts the effort in for $600 to a regular person. That's a lot of money, but I'm not going to give a Christmas video to my father with his hero calling him Barf. So that post that I just read to you, that is what really got the domino. That's what got the domino rolling. Was this initial post by an anonymous person on Cameo, which brought back to light the previous Cameo, which I had told you guys about, which is the one about the guy spending nearly a grand. That was back in April of this year. There was also a 1 star review, April of the same year of 2025. Person says Rick was visibly drunk and put no effort into the video. He just read the bullet points that I sent in word for word. He was halfway out of frame for most of it as well. Very disappointing. And then, not for nothing, but I see one, two, three other 1 star reviews, two of them in 2025. So it looks like his first 1 star in 2025 came in March, second in March, one in April, another in April, and then the two that the one in November. So I mean, that is pretty good. But then, like, you jump ahead, there was a 1 star in 2024. I mean, go and read this for yourself, because I mean, so it's kind of one of those, you know, uh, and I think the only way that, like, Ric Flair, and this will be my message to anybody that is doing these cameo things and all of that, you want to try to strive for good customer support. You want to try to strive for, because your name, your face, it's your brand. That's what you're selling, right? And you want to have satisfied customers. You want to have people that's going to keep coming back over and over and over again. To these people that had the experience that they had, it really sucks, because especially during these times of inflation, you really want to make sure that you're getting your money's worth, and you're hoping, whether you're paying $20, you're dropping 1,000, you're dropping 500, you're hoping that your favorite celebrity is going to do you justice, and they're gonna do right by you. And when they don't, that content creator needs to make sure that they're doing their due diligence, and they're saying, hey, if you don't like what I give you, here's the turnaround, reach back out to me, within 72 hours, or, within 5 days, and I'll do it over. I'm willing to do up to 2 revisions, and I tell you what, for somebody that's dropped $500 to $1,000, revisions should be auto fucking matic. It should not be a wham bam, thank you for your money, tough shit. It's not worth it. It's not worth getting that dang over something that, and here's another idea, like, to people that's doing this stuff on Cameo, here's another idea. Do the Cameo when you're in the right state of mind, you're clear, and, you're able to focus on the task at hand, and you can do it accordingly. Me personally, I'm not going to tell somebody what to do with their money, but me being the wrestling fan that I am, the fandom that I have, if I were to tell somebody, oh, you got to do a Cameo, and I know of certain wrestlers that's on Cameo, and I'm just thinking about that wrestling fan, the last person I'm gonna be having on my list is Ric Flair. He's the very last person that I would have on my list for people like you. You got to go get a no. I'm gonna go, and I'm gonna make sure and recommend to that wrestling fan, hey, I went to this person. And you've heard me over the years when I've done my meet and greets with folks, and I've told you, yo, if you get the opportunity, da- 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 da. So if you tell me, yo, Lee, Kurt Angle's on Cameo, but my man wants $400, I'm gonna say do it. I'm gonna say do it. I met him in person. He's a sweetheart, total fucking pro, money well spent. I fucking watched Kurt Angle do this one batch of autographs for this one guy. He must have got like 10 8x10 autographs, bunch of figures, couple of championship belts. And he didn't, I mean, he paid. He paid because I quietly had spoke to him and I was like, damn, did they like give you the hookup? You know them or something? And he was like, no. He's like, I had to pay for, you know, he's like, they gave me a little discount since it was bulk, but no, I had to cough up the cash for this. I'm like, oh, okay. But yeah, Ric Flair, it's kind of one of those tread lightly. You know, when I hear Ric Flair, I just go, tread lightly, my friend. Seriously. Let's see. Other than that, it has been a relatively slow and quiet, which is good because of the holidays and all that. Hey, I want to take this time out, and I definitely want to thank our show sponsors because without them, content like what you're checking out right now would not be made possible. Shout out to the good folks over at I Want to Learn, SQL.com. Also, shout out to my girl Katrina's Spiritual Counseling.com. Learn more by visiting Katrina's Spiritual Counseling.com. Remember, there's two S's in there, or you can give her a call at 877-275-7562. Once again, that number 877-275-7562. I enjoyed how we did WWE here for this year in review. We are going to be doing AEW. I know they did a what is it? They did their World's End pay-per-view event over the weekend. I know they did that. I know TNA, they recently did some stuff as well. I'm thinking what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to do a audio version of the show. Because I told you guys I was going to do a bonus show. I think that bonus show is going to be just straight up audio. And I think we're going to make that be available for on demand and downloads. I'm toying around with that idea. Because it would be nice if I could just, because I'm thinking about the new year. You're right. We got New Year's that's coming up. I don't really know if I want to be going into this weekend, you know, doing something live while knowing everybody's going to be doing parties and, you know, all that other stuff. So I kind of feel more like just recording something and making that be available for you guys to check out. That way it'd be a nice companion piece for this episode that you guys are checking out right now. So I think that's how we're going to do it. So that companion piece episode, I think I will begin recording it sometime Tuesday. And the goal will be to have it released. The goal will be to have it released sometime. I'll drop it. I'll actually drop it on New Year's. I'll schedule it for New Year's. That way you guys can just anytime you're ready, you can check that out. And then maybe what we can do is have it stream as a YouTube premiere. Maybe later that day. We could try it like that. Don't forget, hop on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/the RCWR show. If you haven't subscribed over there, do subscribe. Love posting great content over there, always having a blast. You guys also can let me know what you're thinking as far as the Lee Sanders Wrestling Awards, as we have a poll that's up on the YouTube channel. I'm poking my head in, seeing the early votes that's coming in. I do see early votes. That's good. Thank you for those that's already voted. Keep the voting. Keep doing it. Keep voting. Keep voting. Again, I'm going to let the voting continue to be open until, if I like what I see as far as the number of people that's coming in to vote, uh, let's let it stay open until Sunday, January 4th, 11:59 p.m. And then on that Monday's January 5th show, we'll be back live, Raw post show. I'll let you guys know the categories that we have available for the Lee Sanders Wrestling Awards. And yeah, in closing, I want to just say this. 2025 has been a great year for the brand. I cannot stop and thank you guys so much that check out the streams. Whether you do it live and you happen to be around and you pop in the chat and you throw a quick hello, you put your voice out there. I do appreciate you. Or maybe you just are a lurker. You don't want to. I still appreciate you, especially if you're checking out the content once it's on demand. Appreciate you as always. Matter of fact, I was looking at some of the YouTube metrics the other day, and I'm seeing that despite the fact that both the new and returning viewer numbers were slightly down, we're apparently bringing in new people, which is great. But I'm seeing just a slight decrease in returning viewers, which definitely creates an opportunity to bring back existing fans, which definitely I hope we're able to do that in the coming year. I'm also seeing that watch time is significantly up as well for the content. Subscriber count remains pretty much steady and all that. That's good. I was also looking at the download numbers for the podcast. Shout out to my people in Nevada, California. Where else is that? Hang on, because I want to make sure that I'm shouting these guys out. So I was looking at that. I said, "Wow, like that's really cool that all these states are pretty much representing the show and all of that." First of all, shout out to our listeners in the United States. It just did it again, didn't it? Yep. Sorry about that, guys. I don't know why it keeps doing that. I see, I throw up a finger and then it does that shit. It's irritating me. But yeah, looking at the country, shout out to my people in the United States. Shout out to my people in the United Kingdom. Shout out to the good folks in Canada, Australia, Russia, Austria. Love you guys tremendously. And then specifically looking in the United States, New York. Love you guys. Seriously, I don't get to visit New York enough. Got to change that. Love you guys. Shout out to the folks out in California. Shout out to my people in Nevada. Shout out to my people in Texas. Shout out to Oklahoma representing. Shout out to Pennsylvania. Shout out to Delaware. Shout out Massachusetts, Utah, Florida, Michigan, Alabama, South Carolina, my home state, Illinois. Shout out to you. Georgia, North Carolina, where I got married. What will be 5-year anniversary come this June. Shout out to the kind folks in West Virginia. Shout out New Hampshire, Kentucky, Indiana, Virginia, Maryland, DC. Love you guys. Appreciate you guys that represent. Check out the show for on demand downloads. It's been a great year. Don't ask me how I am finding the time to still do these shows. With my loaded up semesters that I have been experiencing, but somehow we have been able to navigate the waters. I had finalized my spring schedule about back in November, around mid November. And I'm enjoying this time off, well deserved. I'm off for the next month. So, besides doing a little bit of work here and there, hitting the road and all that, I will definitely be giving you guys more shows for the next little bit till I go back. Good way to kick off 2026, quite honestly. And when the class schedule resumes, obviously we're going to have to scale back, really just length of time. We'll have to scale back just a little bit. But, we're definitely going to keep right on doing what we're doing. I also want to give a shout out to friends of the show as well. Shout out to Julian Cannon of Digiday and the Nocturnal. Great work, phenomenal writer, hardworking dude, great interviewer as well. I gotta get him, and I think I'm definitely gonna sit down with him in the coming weeks because now that Power Force is winding down, there's only two more episodes left before the series finale. I definitely want to have Julian come on in and talk all things power. I think that would be a really good back and forth. Also, while I'm talking about power, I want to give a shout out to this one writer. I came across her work over the weekend. And if you're a power fan like me, you definitely you'll appreciate her written work. Shout out to Whitney Evans. Whitney, like Whitney Houston, the singer. That's how you spell her name, Whitney Evans. James Evans, Florida Evans, good times. Whitney Evans, she is a senior staff writer for the website TV Fanatic. I came across her review for the latest episode of Power, and I thoroughly enjoyed what she wrote and loved it so much so I gave her a follow and I said, "Yo, great job." I'm definitely going to be continuing to check her stuff out. She made a big fan out of me with her work there. So check her out as well. Also, shout out to my good friends in Mish Thomas and Joe Numbers of Wrestling Soup. It seems forever since I've done something with both of those guys. So one of these days, I gotta see what's up with them. Whether I can get one of them or both of them. I know we did the thing with Joe Numbers a couple of years ago, and a decent amount of folks had enjoyed that. I apologize that I was eating when I was doing the joint with Joe. Apparently, some people weren't really a fan of that. It's funny too because the way me and Joe had went into that show, we weren't even thinking, okay, we're doing a show. It was really just two guys that's just hanging out, shooting the shit, and just to kind of peel the curtain back a little bit. Joe would have a better memory probably about this than I do, but there was something behind the scenes that was bad that was going on with me at the time. I don't know if it involved a family member. I don't know if it maybe involved one of my pets. It might have involved Maggie, my Pekingese of 18 years. Because remember, I told you she had died last year. I don't know if it maybe had involved something. There was something bad going on behind the scenes. And I remember when I told Joe about it, he was like, So are you doing a show or something? You gonna fire it up? And I say, yeah. He's like, oh, let me. And he hung out with me for that entire, you know, really it was just two guys shooting the shit, right? Um, and Mish, God, love him like a brother, brother from another mother. That's my boy. Love him. Shout out to him. Um, Shout out to my wife for putting up with my shit like all year long. Show. No, can't do that. Got to do a show. I can't do that. Got to do a show. So patient with me, I tell you. And again, shout out to you guys as well. Thank you so much for welcoming me into your home, your place of work, or maybe while you're at school. All this calendar year, it really means a lot. Um, yeah. So on that note, you'll get a bonus show. Look out for that. That'll be made available for on demand and on the downloads. We'll have it be a YouTube premiere for New Year's Day for you YouTube folks out there. And yeah, be kind, rewind. Check out previous episodes you might have missed on demand and on the downloads, wherever you get your podcasts. You can give me a follow as well throughout social media. Just use the keywords, the RCWR show. And until next go round, wishing all of y'all to be safe. Most importantly, be kind to one another. Please, 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 if you're going to be going out this 4th of July, my God, not 4th of July. My God, I'm jumping ahead. If you're going to be going out this New Year's Day, you're going to be drinking, as I tell you guys on this year-end show that we do always. I always say to you guys, do not drink and drive. Please, your life is so precious. There's so many people that are thinking about you, that love you, they appreciate you, they want you around. Do not drink and drive, please. You can get yourself a free Uber, a taxi, free bus, free train. Like, there's no excuse. There's no excuse. Push come to shove. See if your friend will allow you to stay at their place so you can sleep it off. I want to hear from you in the new year. I want to hear if you did something really fun, stupid, insane. I want to hear about it. So I will see you guys in 2026. Be well. Take care.